Welcome back to the Win with Dice podcast, a podcast featuring members of the Win with Dice team. I'm Calvin, and I'm joined here by Ramon.
Hey guys, if it's your first time listening to the Win with Dice podcast, this is a podcast all about tabletop RPGs, running them, playing them. Calvin and I like to take a casual approach to jamming, and we just like to share our experiences at each other's tables, at other people's tables, running our own game, just so you can see that it's not so scary on the other side of the GM screen, and you can pick up the role yourself. For the most part, or at least if you're new to the hobby, overall, just jump in. Actually, I spoke with one of my coworkers the other day, and his girlfriend is a D&D player, and they just bought like the D&D starter box set because she's gonna make him play. Nice. So hopefully we get another person in the hobby. So
yes. Yeah, I don't mind what they play as long as they're playing. Yeah, so we've got some cool Lancer stuff we want to get into in this episode. It's basically me forcing Ramon to help me prep for a one-shot. But before we do all of that, we do want to get to a giveaway. We did have a few copies of Pierce the Heavens to give away, and we're on the last one at this point. So we're just taking comments from our previous episode where we had an interview with Vex, who is publishing In Golden Flame. There's a Kickstarter going right now. Definitely go check that out. It's going to be linked below. But we got a few names from the comments, and I'm going to roll a random one, and then we will just, if this person isn't listening right now, we'll just message them and say, hey, you won, when this episode comes out. And we'll reach out to contact them. So let's give that a spin. And it is Mr. Cragnack. I'm reading that right,
Mr.
right?
Cragnack.
Yes, Mr. Cragnack. Who dropped a comment on the video. So yeah, if you're listening, we'll reach out to you. If not, that's fine. If you're not listening, then you won't hear this. But I'll just reply to your comment, just reaching out for your email or whatever to send you the link to download this book. Of course, we also talked to the writer of Pierce the Heavens a few episodes ago. Time is weird and bendable, but... Yeah, we awesome. Talked to Valk about Pierce the Heavens. It was a really interesting adventure, so definitely go check out that episode as well.
Yes, it's a very good episode. It's a very good module, adventure. I don't know what they call them in Lancers. I can't recall, but it's great. It's great. If you're looking to, start a Lancer game, it's a really good thing to pick up and just run straight out of the box.
Yeah, it might be some good practice for me before I get to my one shot again. But now, before we get into all of that fun stuff, we have to get to the most important part of the show, the Win with Dice Weekly GM Tip of the Week.
Yes, the Win with Dice Weekly GM Tip of the Week. Brought to you by Ramon, who is still just kind of stealing from Matt Colville because he has good ideas.
I mean, that's just true.
That is just true. But anyway, it's just coming off of he recently put out a video about villains, and he also did a live stream about just kind of talking over it and talking about stuff that he's doing in his company. But he did mention something about villains that are just evil, whether or not somebody asked in his live chat oh, what are your thoughts on just dudes who are just evil? And I agree with him. He said that dudes can just be evil. People like superhero villains because they're just kind of bad. They're just bad dudes looking to do bad stuff, and they enjoy doing it.
Heck yeah.
They want to, you're right. Heck yeah. They want to put damsels on train tracks. They want to twirl their mustache. And I the tip of the week is just do that. Not every villain needs to be Killmonger. If you think about it too hard, he's wait a minute, this dude's right. No, villains can just be wrong, and evil can just be evil. I think that life is a little bit too complicated in the real world, and it's fun to just beat up a bad guy who is just bad. And I think it's just another tool in your GM tool belt to tell a compelling story. Sometimes you just need dudes to be bad. You don't need to think about motivation too much, other than that they kind of just like it.
Yeah, I mean, there's plenty of room for any number of manner of bad guys. And, if you just put a bad guy who's bad in front of your players, their motivation is just that they are a deeply terrible person. From the player perspective, it's actually really fun to beat that person up.
Yeah. You don't feel it's kind of like an easy win, right? It's you beat up the bad guy, no one's gonna be oh no, I can't believe you didn't think about the social ramifications of your actions. Like, oh, thank God you're heroes. Like,
Yeah.
you know, it's an easy win for the players to just be like, oh yes, you guys are the heroes of the story. Don't worry about it, right?
Yeah, like there's
so there you go.
in Mutants and Masterminds, there's one like canonical villain who's basically just like this bigot fire ghost, and whenever he comes up,
Bigot fire ghost? What is he bigoted against?
I don't know, everyone who isn't a fire ghost, basically. No, just like everyone, pretty much. But whenever like he's come up a couple of times, and everyone just has like a real good time just beating the crap out of this guy. I think it also allows to vent some real world frustration. But yeah, like it's just fun to wail on a terrible person sometimes.
Yeah,
it's
fun to
fictionally.
chew it's fun to chew the scenery with the bad guy who's just like, ha.
There's also the
Mind
mustache
over
twirly type, which is also fun in its own.
Yeah. So there you go, folks. There's your Woman Dice Weekly GM Tip of the Week. Yeah.
Groovy. And I'll link the Colville video below, not because we talked about it, but just because it's a good video. It does spoil Stranger Things, though, so it sucks for me.
Oh, wait, you haven't watched Stranger Things?
No, man.
Oh, well, that was on you, man. Like,
I know. He said it was going to be a spoiler, and I was like, yeah, it's whatever.
like, I don't care. Damn it. I cared.
I probably should have. Yeah, warning for that video. But let's get into this week's episode. So I'll be running a one-shot over on the USP channel in next week or in a couple of weeks, and I wanted to, I guess, better prepare for that. Partially because it's been a while. This is just a continuation of, well, I say one-shot, but it's 3 episodes now. Just a finale of the story I started before. And it's just been a while since I actually ran Lancer, other than just reading about Lancer. So, essentially what this episode is me dragging Ramon into helping me prep the final encounter that I had planned. Also considering that the players have gone in a very different direction with it than what I had originally anticipated. And Ramon, you are also a player in this game, but hopefully this doesn't pull you out of it too much.
No, I mean, Duke's gonna Duke, regardless if Ramon knows what's going on. Like,
fair enough.
I'm not gonna change my plan of run straight in and make sure my friends don't die by dying first. That's the rules of Duke.
That's Duke's priority. I will say though that for the players in this game, probably shouldn't listen to this episode. I don't think it'll be anything super spoilery because I'll probably be pretty upfront with what's happening, but you know, maybe you can check it out after and see how the sausage got made.
Yeah.
But let's hop in with a reminder of where we were at this point in the 1x3 shot. Essentially, the players are basically mercenaries who were hired by Union to help out at a planet that has recently joined in with a Union organization. Union being a significant portion of Lancer lore. Essentially, they're this how to quickly describe Union. There's this
they're like a soft-handed empire.
Yeah.
Soft-handed galactic empire. Like the I guess the empire from Star Wars was a hard-handed empire. Union takes the softer approach to bring unity to, human galactic controlled space, where it's mostly just economics and uplifting and leaving people to their own devices, but ask them, please don't make us have to show back up here and use force, because we have a lot of it. That's usually what Union's stance is. It's like, hey, look all this cool shit that we can provide you. Let's connect you to the greater human galaxy and give you faster than light travel. But all you have to do is just kind of be nice.
Yeah, just don't enslave anyone, and we'll be fine.
Just don't be a dick.
Yeah.
Which apparently is hard for a lot of people. Or, because it's a sci-fi setting, Union has to solve all the problems of, the in its empire, right? So, send Union's soldiers to go deal with it. And that's who the Lancers are.
Yeah, pretty much. You guys were on a ship, the Nijimura, with a Union representative by the name of Agent Holly Atro, who is sort of directing you to help out with this planet that you were heading to. And mostly on this moon that was over the planet of, I believe it was called Abylonia. As I'm looking back at my notes, it's been a minute. But mostly you were supposed to help on the moon there and the location of Artemis Station, which is sort of this terraforming platform that was placed on the moon just to sort of gather resources from it, because there were resources on it available. However, the moon itself is Abiona. The planet is named Jove. And yeah, you're heading to Artemis Station on the moon. And essentially pirates had taken over this station. It was causing some manner of havoc. So your job was just to go there, root out the pirates, resecure the station, rescue the scientists, all that fun stuff. So yeah, the first combat, and we talked about this previously, the first combat on that map that was way too big was basically just you bursting into the hangar, dealing with the pirates that were there, the pirates known as the Crazy Diamonds. And after taking care of them, you were able to rescue some of the scientists who revealed that something had gone wrong with the terraforming machine because of the pirate interference. Basically, beneath the surface of Abiona, there's this ancient, massive computer system that seems to have awakened, and not only awakened, but been like felt threatened because of what was happening with the terraforming machine. So it was sort of protecting itself by reinforcing the surface of the moon, but that was causing its weight to shift, which was going to cause it to crash into the planet below, which it might have been able to survive. The moon certainly didn't know if it... The moon certainly didn't seem to be aware that it was orbiting a planet, because it was just about to crash itself into the planet.
So wait, its plan is to... it doesn't know that it's gonna hurt itself. It's a big baby. You're telling me it's a big baby.
I mean, pretty much.
Okay, big baby moon.
Oh no, that's gonna make this next part feel worse, because the scientists, they were aware that during the terraformation, some part of the surface of the moon, underground, was exposed, revealing these 4 different points of circuitry that were exposed that, if they were destroyed, could shut down the computer beneath the surface. So their big plan was to just ask the Lancers to go down there and just blow the whole thing up. But as the players fairly argued, if this is a living computer system, then they could have the option of going down there and either hacking it or just discussing with it to make it not crash itself into a planet, as opposed to the violent option of just blowing everything up. Which, you know what? I didn't think of that, but it's entirely fair.
It's hilarious that the dudes who showed up with the guns are like, we should probably not use violence, and the dudes with the science is like, yes, use the violence. It's the only way.
To me, it was a straightforward, okay, the last combat's just gonna be you have to deal with the pirates while also trying to control or destroy these zones. But I mean, I didn't even think, oh yeah, they might just negotiate. So that is something I do want to integrate into the finale of this mission.
True.
Yeah, just
going off script, being like, oh yeah, I guess I did it. You can just talk to the computer.
Yeah, it is a not living thing, but it's a thing with some manner of sentience enough to know it needs to protect itself.
Yeah, that's true. I mean, maybe there's so one thing that if you want to keep the same sit rep and have us still control these zones, you could have it so we need to control all 4 zones. Well, because there's at least 5 of us, right? There's quite a bit.
Yeah, there's 5.
We need to by a certain time, control all zones, because maybe there's some interference, and maybe we have to try and hack it or talk to it. It's just we have to be adjacent or within a certain range of it, so we can connect these ports or whatever, these expose bits to like the space station. Maybe like we're running through our mechs, like the telecom stuff. So it's like, you know, we're patching in the scientists so they can do the science.
Yeah, that could be it, because there were other scientists there, so it could just be someone who isn't the lead scientist. I did give them all names that didn't really come up just because the combats took longer than I thought they would, so I didn't really have time to introduce every single character there. But yeah, there are definitely some that could be like, yeah, I always thought that was a bad idea. Here, let me, if you can hook us up.
You should have like you could have a quick scene where it's like, one of the scientists is like, no, we have to blow it up, and he's like arming some device, and one of their scientists like knocks him out, being like, I'm the head scientist now.
I'm tired of this.
I'm tired of this guy.
Yeah,
the whole Amanda Waller treatment, just like get her out of here.
So yeah, the Lancers were then sent on a descent from a space elevator, and there I had what was so far the more interesting combat, because you're basically on this donut platform that's descending down. There's just open space air outside of it, and then some flying mechs attack. There was a lot of back and forth with some ships and some hornets, but you were able to make it to the surface, and then that was where we kind of had to, well, getting on the cusp of wrapping up. We did get a couple of rounds into the finale combat, and I'll put an image up here. I do want to do some redesign to the map just to make it a bit more interesting looking, but also not have to move people from where they were already positioned. I want to try to keep as much as exists already there, because I don't know if someone's going to be watching this later and then watch all the episodes together and then be like, hey, why is everything completely different? But I do want to make the map look a bit more interesting. Essentially, the map is this hole in the ground where the computer components had been exposed. There's 4 of them there, which were sort of meant to represent like the control points. I think I just want to make the whole circular instead of just a big square. That's at least one thing I want to do. But down there, you did run into a few enemies. One of them being a bombard who was keeping its distance, was just like blasting damage towards people in the pit. A cataphract who was sort of zipping around doing some stuff, and a demolisher, Ultra, who was sort of the captain of this particular unit of the Shining Diamonds.
Crazy Diamonds, not Shining Diamonds.
Crazy Diamonds. Woof. I'm getting my JoJo references mixed up.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, to be fair, your map is like just flat.
Yes.
It's just a flat map with nothing to interact with. So, I mean, it makes it straightforward to be like, beat this man up, or, you know, go deal with the dude who's shooting at us. So, I mean, yeah, you're right. But, like, I'm wondering why the pirates are defending this place other than the fact that we're here.
So the original plan for the pirates was that they essentially, they were coming in, they were holding the station itself hostage, like the scientists there, because they knew these were valuable targets who were like, they work on like terraforming planets and stuff, so they have to have like some very specific knowledge. So that was something the pirates wanted, but while there, they figured out that, hey, they're looking at something that's also very important beneath the surface of this moon, something unique that only exists here. Can we get that for ourselves? And then they see that there's like a portion of it that's been exposed, which I think I did mention some bits of while we were playing, but I don't know if I've gone into it deep enough to make it very clear that the pirates are here beyond just being jerks. That the pirates essentially want what they see as something valuable. They thought the valuable thing would be the scientists, but then they saw the scientists found something even more valuable, so they came down here.
Well, I mean, they could like hold the scientists hostage and ask for ransom. That's a real world thing that happens all the time.
Yeah, that was their original scheme. That's why there was some still on like the hangar and some still around the elevator and stuff.
Yeah, but we're here to rescue the scientists and stop the planet from falling.
Yeah.
So like, you know, maybe halfway through the game or like through the round, maybe like round 2 or something. I think we're on round 1, but maybe like the end of round 2, beginning of round 3, you could be like, you know, one of the scientists like who's been captured, like maybe like could be patched through from like you know, one of the pirates keeping it as like, oh boss, the pirate, the people, sorry, what's it called? The one of the scientists we captured said like the place is gonna fall into the planet, and it's like the only way to stop it is to blow up the machine. They're like, okay, we could do that. Because, we could just be like, the dude could just be like, we'll beat up the Lancers and be the heroes at the same time.
Oh, interesting. Because I got to consider, like, what I've already said. Because this is the problem with playing a streamed or YouTubed game. Because if this was a home game, I'd be like, oh, that's a cool idea. Let me just retcon that in.
But, like, you could do it, like, you don't have to tell, well, they can listen. You don't have to tell the audience or the other players, because you haven't, like, this is new information that the commander is getting right now, right? It's like,
well, yeah, it's just that my thing is because you guys already rescued the scientists that were on the station, and I hadn't established that there might have been more that were already kidnapped.
Oh, that's okay. I mean, it doesn't even have to be the scientists. It could just be like one smart pirate. Like they're like a space pirate. They must have like a tech guy, right?
Yeah.
You could just be like,
oh yeah, the cataphract guy could be pretty smart.
Or like, it doesn't have to be a dude on the map, right? Like it could just be a dude who's just being calling in.
Yeah. I mean, they'd have their own larger ship, right? Like they couldn't have all shown up on the drop ship that you fought before. They'd have their own larger craft that probably has more people.
Exactly, right? So, you know what? It could even be like the planet itself, like, because I don't know how secret this is, right? Like, obviously, if the moon is slowly falling into the planet, like people are going to be like, what the fuck's going on, right?
Yeah. People are going to notice that.
People are going to notice. So it could even be, I mean, you could spin this however you want, but it could be like another entity contacts the pirates directly and be like, all right, we'll just pay you to stop this nonsense, right? So now, since the Lances are like, oh yeah, we're going to try and, if this is a sentient life, maybe we could just not like have it get destroyed, right?
Yeah.
And now maybe the pirates are like, all right, we're going to just destroy it. So now the conflict, instead of being like, we're pirates and we're bad, now it's like, well, we're gonna get paid double now for what we were gonna do before.
Right.
Let's destroy this stupid moon, or stupid moon thing.
It could be that, like, I mean, depending on if this becomes like an ongoing thing, it could just be like someone had originally maybe hired the pirates because they wanted to acquire these terraformation scientists because, I don't know, they had their own thing that they wanted to do with them, but it's someone who is on the planet. And then once they see, oh, hey, the moon's about to crash into the planet that I'm currently on.
Yeah, but you don't even have to flesh that out or even give them a name. You could just some shadow organization and call it quits. Like all the scene would actually have to be is like, over the STF,
the STF,
right?
Yeah.
It's like, or the STF, you just hear, what? Oh, okay, all right, change the plan, boys, or whatever. It's like, we're tearing this thing up. It's like, now, then you tell your Lancers, like, oh, now you have to protect these things because they're going to be actively targeting it, right?
Yeah, because that did seem to be the direction the players wanted to go, and I got to like rewatch the episodes again just to make sure I got all that right.
So now it becomes like, oh, now it's like we have to, like, because the Demolisher is good at demolishing, right?
Yeah.
So it's like, now the bad guy NPC is like, oh, cool, I can just go break this now. I don't have to beat up the players, and I can just become the hero. So now it's like another thing that we have to worry about isn't just getting clobbered. It's like, you actively targeting the thing that we're trying to protect, and then it becomes like, instead of it being like a death match, it becomes like protect the zones or whatever, right?
Yeah.
At the same time, like it could be, so it's like it brings like another level to the combat, as well as like it shows how we're we're trying to do a good job, but if someone just pays somebody enough, they'll just do anything because they're pirates, right? They'll just be like, yeah, okay, we'll be the heroes, because it's kind of how it happened before, right? Like a bunch of pirates like basically were just dicking around, and they would just be paid by governments to fight the other governments stuff. Like England would pay pirates to blow up Spain's ships, and they would just be exonerated and pardoned by the king or whatever at the time. Be like, don't worry about the pirating stuff. You kill the people we wanted you to kill, so good job, kid. Like, here's a free pass.
Okay, yeah, I could definitely do that. Just play with like because the motivation switched up, so I could just play with that.
Yeah, you could just be like, "Ah, sick boys, we're gonna get diplomatic immunity. We're gonna be heroes." And then now the I know we just talked about how in the tip of the week that villains could be mustache twirling bad guys do evil things, but I mean also you could be motivated. I mean they could also be mustache twirling villains and also get to be the heroes at the same time. Like why not?
Yeah, wealth and fame are good motivators.
Yeah.
Okay, what about the more, I guess, technical aspects of the combat? Because I do have, like, 3 bad guys here.
You're back.
One of them being an Ultra, and I'm like, is that enough? Because I think balance is still a thing that I haven't quite figured out what the math for it is. Like, 1.5 enemies or 2 times structure? I don't know.
I think there was like some guidelines that was floated around pilot.net, the Discord. But yeah, it's like 1.5 times the number of structure. Yeah, something like that. But you know, the safest bet that you can always do is just have an idea of what the enemy forces are gonna be like. And if you feel like the fight's going a little bit too easy, just have them show up on like reinforcements, because we have established that like they have like airplanes or like spacecraft, right? Like you could even just copy the spacecraft enemy you used before on when we're descending, right? And just be like, oh, this one of these guys showed up, right? Like it took them a while to get reorganized, but yeah, they showed back up, and it's like, here you go. So you can do that.
Yeah. Because I
you
do
could just have like a.
yeah.
Oh, sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off.
Oh no, I was just gonna say like I do have them already made and everything, so I could just bring those back.
So if they're already made, just drop them in. Like it's still in theme, and it's an enemy type that we've seen before. Like any of the enemy types we've seen before, you could just be like, I think I want some of these, and just like throw them down. You could even have like a drop pod show up, right? Just be like, oh yeah, the bad guys call in more reinforcements, and then a drop pod shows up, and you could even do something cool where it's like you put like the drop pod zone, like you mark it out with a thing before the thing actually shows up, and it's like if you're here when the drop pod lands, it's coming in hot, you're gonna get wrecked or something like that, right? Give me something kind of awesome like that, where it's like you're engaging a lot, and you could just have like. My favorite thing to do is have grunt assaults show up, because they're and they don't, you don't have to have anything. You just the grunt assaults with their assault rifle, and just have them show up and just start pressing the fire button. So it's not too much for you to think about. You just shoot the closest person. Yeah.
Okay. I don't know if it was super easy at first, especially. I mean, like not this one especially. I think the Ultra might have got a structure, but no, I gotta rewatch the episodes again. Just to gauge that. But yeah, I do have them statted, so that shouldn't be too hard.
Yeah.
I think when I was making these up, I did like try to calculate it based on something, because I do have that in my notes.
Well, you have we have what, 5 Lancers?
Yeah.
And how many? You got the Cataphract, the Ultra,
and the Bombard.
Demolisher, and the Bombard, right? And just a regular Bombard?
Yeah, it's just a regular Bombard. But I guess like now, because I think I had made this one, like it leans more towards just the Demolisher being a big deal, but the combat being like not super hard, just normal hard for new players. But I mean, now that this is going to be into a new session, I could probably buff that up a bit.
Yeah, for sure, and I think we're relatively doing all right. Like, I don't think anyone's super duper hurt, other than maybe Duke got wrecked up.
Yeah, well, that's what Duke does.
Yeah, that's what Duke does, and yeah, it's, to be fair, there's hardly like whenever I take a Duke out for like a Lancer game, like somehow they always end up with their mech wrecked, and I'm like jockeying some other right at the end. It's always something like that. Duke never ever makes it all the way to the end. He's always in some precarious situation. But yeah, that's fine. Yeah, no, for sure. I think that like it's always better to hold stuff in reserve, and then when you're like, I think that we need to add a little bit more pressure, make them show up, right? And now that our attention is less central, because right now we're actually flanking everybody, like we're actually surrounding all the bad guys, right? Except for the bombard, but that bombard is really far away. So except for the bombard, we're surrounding like most of the bad guys. So now instead of it being like, oh, we have to focus on these guys, it's like now we have to focus on these guys and these other guys showing up to destroy. If you wanted to just have them target the other, so it spreads us out, and there's more things to do than everybody just collapsing in onto one space because you have this map that you made, right?
Yeah. Like
that's always the issue. It's like you make this map and we all end up fighting in like 1/4 of it just because this is how it is.
Yes. Speaking of the map, I was thinking, so I kind of want to add like more debris within it. Like I want to keep the overall concept, which is like these 4 points of some sort of weird computer component, some central weird holographic thing that's like glitching, and it's all concentrated within this one pit in the ground. I did again.
You could have the pit be levels too, right? You can have it go down deeper, so that might be a way to add a little verticality to it. Because even if it is like a pit, currently it still just feels like a flat plane. Because it's mostly, even though the one elevation difference, it's still just kind of like a flat plane.
Yeah, exactly. I was thinking like there's bits of like rock that you can use for cover, and yeah, that's a good point about like different elevation. I'd have to figure out how to draw that. I haven't used Dungeon Fog for a while, but the map was pretty easy to make, so I don't think that's gonna be super hard.
A cool thing that you can do, like I'm kind of envisioning it, is that you can have like these 4. You could have like not concentric, like rings going down, like a quarry. Like you imagine what a quarry looks like with all of the going down like that. You could have it kind of like that. So it's like squares on squares, and then have like this middle section maybe go back up. So there's like a flat, maybe like 2 or 3 plane like square ring, and then it goes up by 1 level, and then that's where all of these things sit, and then it goes up by another level, and then you're like then you go up and then you're back at the top. But then it provides like line of sight blocking from like the top left one. If you're at the bottom right side of the screen, you can't see all the way across to the top left. You have to go all the way around, which makes the bombard having its position higher make it really good because it can target anywhere, and it's also arcing and stuff like that. But it's also good for the players if they ever have to like go to the other side of the map. They can't be engaged with by all of the bad guys on the right side of the map because it's gonna be the line of sight's gonna be blocked. So it stops the players from, it just stops people from like interacting cross map.
Yes. Yeah. Okay, yeah, that could be some good tactical stuff. And then that gives me more options for where new guys could emerge from, especially if I want to break up, like if I see people are just like sticking to one space or in certain positioning, and I want to like, because there's definitely like I could probably drop someone just looking at it like bottom left, top right, just to drag people away from certain positions and maybe make things a bit more difficult. Yeah,
for sure. And it makes the demolishers trek to go around and smash these things up a little bit more difficult, right? So it's like now it has to like kind of follow the track. It's like go all the way around. So it's like you can try and build up, like there's like tons of stuff that you can do, but yeah, it's just kind of like an idea. I always think that like it's better to break up line of sight and have like different elevations that just have like a flat plane. Even if you do just have like cover and different debris and stuff like that in the way, it's still better to also just have literal line of sight blocking pieces of terrain. So then you can build choke points, you can get higher ground. It just makes that level of tactical Actually, there was one map that like because Shaka is god at making maps apparently. It was when he ran a game for the One with Dice channel, and it was like one of the final maps, I think, and basically he had like this it was leading up into, I think it was like a town or something, or maybe like a bunch of roads, and one side there was just like this big 5-foot tall like not mountain range, but just like this higher elevation, and on the other side it was still kind of flat, and we were starting on one side, so on all the enemies we were starting behind the big elevation, so we couldn't see them. We would have to like kind of go up the map, and they would have to come across the map laterally to meet us, like from the left to the right, and we're going like down and up, and that's where like the fight was gonna be. But because this Duke at the time was able to fly, I think never mind, all the Dukes can fly, so the Duke my Duke in that game saw that there was I forget what support mech it was, priest. It was a priest, and I was like, I better take out that priest now before like something bad happens. So I sent my Duke all the way over there and just like flew over the elevation, slammed down, and killed the priest, I think, in like one go. And but then I was surrounded by enemies, but because I was taking the heat off of everybody else was able to wind the bend and come around, and we all met in the middle. But it stopped like the Groot slaying from interacting with the other side because they had to get in position. But if that elevation wasn't there, everybody could have just straight up went left, right, and went and interacted immediately. But because of that, it made me make it that decision, and it just changed up things. So yeah, that's what I was trying to get at.
Okay, yeah. I'll see what I can do with the map builder, or maybe photo editing it. You made a very good point about the elevation and stuff. I don't think not everyone on this team can fly as well, so
yeah, but as long as it's like gradual, like they can just take them, because I think, Lancer, you can move up an elevation if it's your size without any problem.
Oh yeah.
But it just takes like a movement, so it'll slow people down, but also they'll provide like line of sight stuff. And if anybody has like abilities to be like, if you're on higher ground, which I don't think anyone has, but it would be cool, because then the snipers can snipe down, and like it'd be cool to like have like all of us like in this pit fighting, and then a bunch of bad guys dudes show up, and at the side of the pit just start shooting down at us. That could change the tide of battle a lot. Yeah.
Okay. All right, so that is something I want to work on. So I want to have some of my pre-made enemies waiting in the wings, work on some of the elevation for the map, give the bad guys the motivation to go and destroy the things if the players are working specifically to save them. What else can I work on here? So what about the, I guess the last thing is, just a win condition. Is it just going to be taking out the pirates? Or is this going to be more of a control battle?
That's up to you. I mean, so like, it depends. You could have it to be a control mission where it's like the different fail states, right? So it's like either way the pirates need to be dealt with. Mm-hmm. So it's like, okay, do you beat up the pirates? And then also it could be like you have to also protect these things at the same time to get like the proper outcome. Like you could have different fail states, right?
Yeah.
So it's like you beat up the pirates, but maybe they destroyed a couple of the things. You have to give them HP and stuff, I guess. You probably already did that.
Yeah, there's invisible tokens there with with hit points and everything.
Yeah, so you could do that, as well as like you could just be like you could put a time limit on it for some reason. Like it's like, I don't think you need a time limit here. It could just be like, if you want the best possible ending, don't make these things get destroyed.
Yes, that's the good ending.
Yeah, that's the good ending, right? It's like it's where all the juice is. Or maybe when the pirates, you could also have a thing too, where it's like, if the pirates start doing like damage to the conduits, maybe this computer reacts and like sends out like, I don't know, just like drones or something. Like it starts fighting. Like some hatches start opening up, or maybe things just like teleport in, and it's just like, maybe it's not like an actual enemy. Maybe it's just like a bomb, right? Like it's just like this bomb drone shows up, and we'll just move towards where the most amount of anybody is and just blow up, right? So then it makes the place really chaotic.
I kind of like the idea of the computer has already been established as able to react to threats. I like the idea of it having like these antibodies essentially, or I guess antivirus, because it's a computer, where it sees it's threatened, so it's going to send out something to deal with the threat.
Yeah, and it's all attached to like the terraforming mechanism too, right?
Mm-hmm.
So you could even have the AI change the battlefield if you want to have it put the covers in and stuff like that. So like maybe it changes. Maybe it's the one that changes the pit, right? Like
yeah. Because I was wondering like, how am I going to introduce these changes into the fight zone? I could just have at the end of, because I think we got to the start of a round. So at the end of the round, like just like something like these rocks and stuff burst up out of the ground. Some of it falls towards the middle. Some, I don't know, machines like burst out from underground, and they'll have some template or whatever on them, some function or whatever on them. But yeah, there'll be like a third combatant as well.
Yeah, you could even have it be like, instead of it being like like an actual mech size thing, you could just have it be like a swarm of stuff, right?
Ooh.
So now instead of it being how should I say, like an enemy that's like neutral, it's like an area of effect that's able to like move around.
Yeah, there's a swarm thing in Lancer, right? I'm sure at some point, if it's not in the core, then we've talked to someone and we have an LCP file that has like a swarm.
Yeah. There's like I think there's a swarm, but also I think in Wallflower they have like an enemy type. This is just like a bunch of small robots that are not like it's a piece of terrain that is a bunch of small robots that can be targeted with like and be damaged and destroyed, but they just kind of swarm your machine and just do like dot damage to you, right? So, and they could just be like, if you guys like, you could even be like, if like as these things get destroyed, more and more shows up, and because the machine is just trying to protect itself. So the time limit is not like a hard time limit where like you have 6 turns. It's like, defeat these pirates before everyone dies or everyone gets blown up or something like that, right?
Well,
like, before the fight gets too out of hand.
It could be because these things are showing up for the purpose of protecting the machine. It could be that, like, I mean, if I do have a time limit or if I don't, it could be that their condition they're trying to win is to get everybody out of here. And if they do that, then the computer is going to finish doing what it's trying to do, which means that on the ship, they're just going to have to, like, nuke this whole area, which is not going to be the outcome that the PCs wanted, but is going to save the planet below. Or the pirates, they just want to win and then they get to be hailed as heroes or whatever. Or the players want to win and then they're able to both save the computer and the planet.
Yeah, because maybe like this planet has recently joined Union, right?
Yes, yeah.
And are these Union scientists?
Yeah, I think that was what I said they were. That's what made them valuable.
So from the perspective of the planet, the Union scientists are prioritizing. Well, they can see it from their perspective, right? Like, let's say scenario one. Scenario one is we nuke the place, and which sucks because like we lost all this technology or whatever this science work, but we did save the planet, right? Mm-hmm. Then scenario two, the PCs lose outright, and then the pirates are able to stop the thing. So it looks like Union was trying to prioritize the research over the safety of the planet, and that could spell like more worse implications further along, because like this planet recently joined Union and now they're not even taking their safety into consideration.
Yes. Right.
It's like, that could even spark, anti-Union sentiment further along and like can make things rough. So it's like, Lance is always like taking these small these like fulcrum moments, right?
Right.
To be like, and then reminding that it's all kind of connected in this big web of political nonsense.
Okay. Yeah. Like that's like ultimately what Agent Atro and Union overall want is for this planet to be like within their, I don't know if control is the right word, but just within their organization.
Within their compliance, right?
Yeah.
They want to be union compliant. So, and they don't want like dissent or anything. They just want everything to just work, right? They don't care. They just want it to work. So then, they don't want these pirates to be heroes. They want Union to be heroes. They want it all. They want to have their cake and eat it too. So they want to have this cool, moon computer. They also want to get rid of all the pirates, and they also want these Union Lancers to be the heroes. Like, you guys need to show up and be the heroes. That's why we pay you.
Yes. And then because I know some of the players just were discussing like wanting to continue something like this because they got really into the characters and stuff. What I really wanted to do is, if we do that, I wanted the campaign to be on the planet Jove. I want it to be like continuing from here and on a planet that's like just now joining Union and everything that would happen after that. This could definitely give me more springboards to work with because I did have some ideas, but I didn't have anything to pull everything together. If this ends up, I don't think it'll be like a regular weekly thing. But just if we do this again, then I'll at least have something more to work with than just, they saved the moon once.
Yeah, like, I mean, it could be, so, like, even if you never get the same people together again, or, like, you do another one-shot, but still set in Jove, just moving the date and time forward, right? You can still reference back to when this team of Lancers did this one thing one time.
Oh, yeah,
right?
yeah.
And the fallout from it, right? It's always kind of like, what's the fallout after these decisions, right? So, maybe the Crazy Diamonds break up, and that would be tragic.
It really would be.
We got a good couple of years, boys, but break the band up.
Okay, well, yeah, I think I have more to work with now. I have some win and loss conditions. I have some ideas about the terrain. I have some ideas about what to do with the bad guys. I think that's going to give me more to work with. I do have to just listen to these episodes again and get used to listening to my DMing voice again. And then there's just more like technical Foundry stuff that I have to take care of, but that's a whole other thing.
Yeah, for sure. And I mean, it will be interesting because now, actually, I don't even know. Is anyone even dealing with that bombard? No, everyone's ignoring it.
No, not at all.
But now the bombard could just be like, okay, boss, I'll just start shooting these other things.
Ooh,
and then now it becomes like, oh, someone needs to go there and deal with that, man.
Yeah, because the bombard's range is pretty much this entire pit. That's why I put them up there. Because one of the things I was worried about is if the Demolisher starts walking around demolishing things, it's very, very slow. So it's going to take a lot to do, but the bombard could just be like up there sniping things. Oh yeah, the bombard, I thought it was just going to be an annoyance, but it can really make itself a problem.
Yeah, right. So now one of us has to break away and go and deal with that thing, and if that's one less person dealing with like the cataphract, that's like one less person dealing with the Demolisher, and then either you have more reinforcements from the diamonds show up, or because we're doing damage to these ports to the moon computer, the moon computer retaliates and starts putting out these like dangerous zones or weird zones that'll just start terraforming you. Like maybe that's what's gonna happen.
Yeah, I think I might have had some ideas in there already for because I had some tokens for just like a hazardous area around the computer thing. So I think I can lean into that. Okay. Yeah. Okay. Well, you've given me much more to work with, and I feel a lot more confident at this point.
Yeah. No, okay, cool. Hope you folks listening enjoyed it. I kind of just make up a bunch of stuff.
I mean, these are one of my favorite kinds of episodes. The episodes where we just make up a bunch of stuff, and everybody commenting below can drop ideas if they want to. I'm not averse to that.
Yeah. If you're let us know Let Calvin know what other cool ideas you guys have. I always say that I'm only one brain, so if more brains, the better.
Yeah. I mean, that's one of the things that's great about like just being able to talk to people about stuff you're GMing, because sometimes it's very easy to get like too into your own head about it. You know how when you repeat a joke too many times, it stops being funny? If you repeat your own ideas in your head too many times, sometimes you start to think they're not as good as they were, and then you forget people actually have fun playing stuff with you. Especially, this is more of a GM thing, that like it's easy to forget, hey, people enjoy doing this thing with you.
Yeah,
so sometimes it's nice to just have something to bounce ideas off of.
Yeah, for sure.
So yeah, I'll work on that. I do still wanna. It bugs me so much looking at this map again that the edges of the pit are just like perfectly square. But I think I was just limited by the resources I had available, so I'll see what I can do about that. It's just really annoying me. That specifically. But yeah, and if you guys have any ideas or any, I guess, games that you're working on, Lancer, Pathfinder, whatever else, that you might want some people to have some input on, just drop a comment below. I think we've got a pretty good community of people who are into tabletop RPGs here, so I'm sure you all have some ideas you can help each other with. And I think we're going to roll into the outro of today's episode. And again, thanks a ton for listening, everyone. We've got, if you're into Lancer, which we clearly are, there's a whole ton of awesome Lancer stuff below. A bunch of people we've talked to. Vex's Kickstarter for In Golden Flame is there. Definitely check out Pierce to Heavens there. Definitely check out Shaka's game stream there. Or stream? Well, it's more like episodes, but they premiere. Just go check out Shaka's game there.
Just go to his YouTube channel, watch his stuff, all right?
Yeah.
It's good.
As well as Field Guide to Umfakane. Also, I forgot to mention this last week, but there is a Kickstarter for the Mutants and Masterminds print edition. By the time you're hearing this, it's going to be out of the 48-hour start where you could have got some bonus stuff. But what's special about it is you can go there, you can support the Kickstarter, and you can get printed versions of a bunch of Mutants and Masterminds 3rd edition books. And if you get them now, they're going to be a lot cheaper than they will be at retail. I got a couple of things that I didn't have, gadget guides and power profiles, so I can actually help. Like, it's going to be better to make characters in person if that becomes a thing that I do. And those would be much more expensive, obviously, if I waited until they were in retail. So definitely go check that out if you want some physical copies of your M&M books, or the 6th printing of the core rulebook. Speaking of which, also check out the USP channel, the Untold Stories Project channel on Twitch and YouTube. I'm there on Monday and Tuesday, playing in the Starhaven superhero game and the Gemstars Magical Girls game. Starhaven is coming to the finale. There's like a couple episodes left. I'm very sad. So we've got a big old fight coming up against a person who's invading our space. And the Gemstars just found their Queen Beryl. Or I guess she exists off screen somewhere. So
Plotting, being malevolent.
Yes. Just pondering her orb somewhere. So definitely go check out that. And I think that's going to cover everything in this episode. Please check out our gaming streams. They're really fun. And that's everything. Ramon, anything else you want to say before we head off?
Nope. Tell the people what they want.
All right. Well, for all of our planet-orbiting GMs and players out there, just remember to keep on winning with dice. And we'll see you next time.
Bye, guys.